Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a 4K version of the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front, the 2.5 hour Netflix edition film that was just made for Netflix. It's a very hard watch, as you can probably tell. I've just struggled watching it. It's really hard to sort of come to terms with the horror of such a dreadful war. You know, this is based in the trenches in the Western Front in France. And you got to remember, just in a short time of the 4 years of the war, 3 million men lost their lives, and in the whole, just in the Western Front, and in the whole war, 17 million people lost their lives to the First World War, and 3 million of them were here on the Western Front. This is a German film based on a German soldier called Paul and some of his friends called Kat, Franz, and a few other sort of like friends from his town, and they're all young men wanting to fight proudly for their country. Now, it starts off really harshly. The film starts off straight away in the trench warfare, and we see like this battle going on, and the horrendous part of it, we meet this soldier called Henrik, and he gets killed, and all these other soldiers' friends get killed, and then their bodies are sort of collected, and they're sort of stripped of their uniforms and boots and stuff, and they're all taken off to a factory where they're all washed and cleaned and sewn up, and then given to more young recruits. You know, these young recruits were so excited to join their army, but they didn't really realize that they're wearing a dead man's clothes. And this shows the true effect and horror of warfare. And Paul, the main character film, wears Henrik's uniform, and he manages to survive pretty much most of the film. And you're really rooting for him and his friends to sort of pull through, because you've become to realize that these are just human beings. They're not. So all these soldiers are human beings like you and me, and they're there fighting somebody else's war. And this is what it pretty much demonstrates, because you've shown all these really harsh and violent war scenes, and then you cut to like these sort of like posh people having the posh dinner, we're nowhere near the war, trying to make a decision if to end it or not. And then we also get this horrible sort of captain who, even though because this is based around the sort of the treaty of the war, even when they come to terms to sort of like surrender, he makes them go in one more time. You know, these poor soldiers and poor lads, and it's horrendous. It's a very difficult watch. It's a very awesome film. It's a fantastic sort of like anti-war film, I would class it as, because if anybody watched this, you can say, why on earth do humans go to war? Why? You know, what are they actually gaining out of this? Absolutely nothing, apart from destroyed families, destroyed lives, all these people that are losing their lives. We see one scene in the film where Paul has to sadly take the life of a French soldier, and he feels really bad about it. They're in this sort of pit area, and it's either him or the other, and in this horrible situation to be in, and he breaks down, and he goes through the soldier's pockets and finds a photo of like a young child and his wife and his papers, and he makes a promise pact to this Frenchman that he will find his family and he will go and personally apologize to them for what happened during the war. and it's a very devastating sort of film. I remember seeing the first one years ago, an old black and white film, and again that was a very sort of anti-war film, but this one was more heartbreaking. I think because I know it sounds silly, but because it's in colour, and it sort of brings forward the horror more than the black and white. But this one really does bring the horror forth of war. And it doesn't matter what side it's from. Like I said, this is based on the German army. It doesn't matter. But the German army, French army, American, British, all normal human beings with families, all there fighting somebody else's war, somebody else's greed. And that's what it's all about. And it's like nothing to do with any of these people, but they are taught and they're sort of propagandized into believing they're doing the will of their country. And the German, they're taught that they're making their fatherland proud and all this. And it's so sort of like disturbing how they're sort of like brainwashed. Now, I mean, I think the world has moved on a lot now, and it's a lot more dangerous now, because obviously, if a war happened now, it would be more of a nuclear war, and it would be horrendous. But we haven't learned anything, and this should be shown to everyone to teach them. This is what war does to the planet, what it does to the normal man and to the normal family. It's an essential watch. It's a 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. The pluses of this edition, this is the 4K release, which comes in a really nice sort of steelbook. There's cats and paw on the back there, and that's paw on the front there. It comes with a great steelbook. It comes with the 4K disc and the Blu-ray edition. It looks absolutely stunning on 4K, as it would be. It's been filmed in 4K. It's going to look amazing, and it does. And it looks really well. The photography is absolutely fantastic. It must have cost an absolute fortune to make with all the set pieces in this film. But the costumes are fantastic, amazing. The actors, I don't know them because they're German, but they played the parts extremely well. Really, really cool and convincing. You really felt for them. They felt so normal, so sort of like, you know, like normal guys, just sort of young lads trying to make their country proud, and you just think, guys, you know, don't do this sort of thing. You know, and in the end, I think they sort of learn the devastation and the horrors of war. And this is what this film demonstrates. Really, really, really cool film. 10 out of 10. All Quiet on the Western Front. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. If you've seen either version, let me know. But this was a really cool edition. It runs about 2 hours 40. So it is quite a lengthy film. It's in German with English subtitles. I believe there is an option to have it dubbed, but I wanted to watch it in German with the English subtitles because it's based on the German sort of army. So I thought, well, yeah, it'd be silly of me to watch it any other way. But it's really, really cool, and I highly, highly recommend it. I will be reviewing a couple more war films this week. I think I'm going to have a war week just because I'm in the mood for it. Just to go over them, I think we're going to have one on the Second World War, and we might revisit World War One. So if you've enjoyed this, please check it out. Thanks, guys.